Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Star Trek Adventures Warp Onyx campaign, Season 1, Episode 2, and this is Part A of Episode 2. Okay, so at this point, crewman third class security, Archibald, has secured this Frangulus sphere and is back at the Enterprise NX-01. He is now tasked with securing cargo which has been brought onto the Enterprise NX-01 from another ship. And this security and these cargo crates, there's about 30 of these crates, very large. They're put into Hangar Bay C, and they are specifically tasked by Captain Archer to be kept completely safe, completely secret from, and they are only allowed to be viewed by the bridge crew. So that means Archer, Tucker, Mayweather, T'Pol, and Sato. Right, that's it. Right. And so this task goes to Crewman Archibald, and Crewman Archibald is now responsible, right, to keep these safe. Right, it's very, very important that he secures these crates. So first of all, one of the things that's really wild is just how incredible. We're coming off of a straight Dungeons and Dragons campaign, right? Fantasy, elves, dwarves, your Tolkien trilogy. Elf, dwarf, human, right? And just adventures. But this is like securing cargo is actually a real task in Star Trek Adventures, and it turned out to be quite exciting, right? So basically, the biggest thing is there are 8 security officers. There's 8 security crewmen on the Enterprise NX-01. And Crewman Archibald is one of them, and he has to set a schedule, right? And it's like, okay, we're gonna put. And the other thing is, every time he's given a task, he wants to use half the force, and I'm like, hey, they got to secure this entire ship, right? You could put 4 dudes on duty, but it's half the force, and they have to do security around the clock, right? There's no downtime, right? So it was really interesting, and so he ends up putting 2 guards out front, 1 guard inside. And immediately, there is a test on the security. So this person, Elmyph, comes, and Elmyph is an Andorian, and she's like, hey, and she's good friends with Archibald, right, with Crewman Archibald. And Archibald owes her, right? Now, what does he owe her for? Well, the security crew are constantly getting injured, right? And when they get injured, they would have to go to Phlox, right? Well, there's a known understanding, and so Phlox has a whole bunch of creatures on board. So on the Enterprise right now, there's actually a veterinarian. And a lot of the security, when they get injured, they don't want to go to Phlox because Phlox will put them on pain meds. He'll put them on medicines that change how they perform, right? And he'll put them on rest, right? Whereas if they go to the veterinarian, she will give them what is needed to get through and allow them to work injured. This is a major thing on the security force. And so Elmyph is not this veterinarian. She is able to talk to this veterinarian because this veterinarian is really bad at communication with anyone but animals, right? And so Elmyph always sets this up for the security guys. So she comes and she's like, hey, Crewman Archibald, I know these crates are secret, but I want to know what's in them. Open them up. Let me see what's inside. I'm a Starfleet officer. I'm not bridge crew, but you can let me see. I'm on the same ship. We're on the same side. Let me see. And so Archibald, he's very serious. When he's given an order from the captain, or actually any of the bridge crew, he really wants to do it, right? He wants to do his job and perform well because he's looking to move up. He wants to be a valued, trusted Starfleet officer at some point, right? Or at minimum, a Starfleet crewman. He wants to be honorable, right? And he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And so I actually, he said, I'm going to say I can't do that. And I said, hold up, right? Like, just realize, right? She's asking you for a very small favor, and she's been doing you and the entire security crew a big favor for a long time. She's been helping you guys, ignore regulations for literally months, right? And many times with many different security people, right? So this is pretty minor considering what she's done for you guys and the regulations she's already broken for you. You sure you want to say no to her? Right? And he's like, I want to say no to her. Like, I'm doing what the captain asked, right? And so, one, I really love the gold player because he does, feel the tension of the narrative, which, and he's like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that. And, but, and then the other thing is, even like having this conversation, I'm like, are you taking a walk outside of the hangar bay to another place where your conversation will be secret? And so it's really just the story beats of this are very different, right, than Dungeons & Dragons. Just different things matter, different tasks are happening, different missions are happening. It's really quite different, right? And Dungeons & Dragons is critically different than Star Trek, right? And I am really enjoying seeing that difference, right? So he says no, and she's miffed, and she's like, next time one of your guys are hurt, you guys are going to Phlox, right? And enjoy having a lot more work for a lot less people, because Phlox put half of you on bed rest, right? Like, enjoy that, right? And she walks away angry, right? She is not happy, right? Next, the crewman Archibald is still securing this material, and Sato comes to him, and Sato says, listen, now Sato is the communications officer, and she's an expert in language, and she's getting ready to speak to Clang because Clang is comatose, but Phlox is working to get Clang conscious, right? This Klingon, right? And so Sato comes and says, listen, I have a plan. Phlox is about to bring Clang, the Klingon, up and conscious. When he comes into consciousness, I have not mastered the Klingon language yet. I can't talk to him, right? So I'm not going to be able to communicate with, I'm not really going to be able to communicate with, I'm not going to be able to communicate with this Klingon, right? And I thought that was, very interesting. And so she's like, I'm not going to be able to communicate with this Klingon, so I have a way that I want to calm this Klingon down. Crewman, security, third class, Archibald. Security, crewman, Archibald, third class. I can never get that exactly right. This is what I want to do. I want you to, the moment Clang awakes, I want you to punch him in the face, right? And I want you to physically attack him with a non-lethal attack, without a weapon, right? And then he's going to come up, and the two of you are going to get into a big fist fight, knock down, drag out, right? He's going to be shocked awake, and I believe that getting a good swift punch in the face is the best way to calm down a Klingon when they're surprised, right? Because it's going to give them something to do that they're very comfortable with. And frankly, I don't think anybody on this ship can do it but you, right? Like, this is going to be painful for you, but I think this will really work, right? And and she's like, and he's like, well, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, he's like, I'll be ready, I can give you an hour, 8 hours from now. And she's like, no, Phlox is coming up. Phlox is going to have this done in about 2-3 hours. I need you there then. And he's like, oh, I got to secure this cargo, right? And he's like, I can't help you on your schedule. And she's like, well, that don't mean you can help me. I need help at a, and she's like, you're making the wrong decision, right? Like, we're talking about, continued, communication with the Klingons, who the humans are trying to build a strong relationship with, and you're worried about securing secret cargo, right? He's like, that's what I was tasked with, right? So he says no, right? So that's where we're going to cut it off here. So that is Star Trek Adventures campaign, season 1, episode 2, part A, and that's where we're going to cut it off there. Every single word you just heard is in my humble opinion, the best parts of Star Trek Adventures. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.